Hiya, I'm ThatJaymsWisdom and this is And Another Thing, and today I'm going to be talking about my recent travel adventures, Thor Ragnarok, and my new phone. Hello everybody, so I have been busy, I've got a lot to talk about this week, and we'll start with, what I did just over a week ago now, probably 2 weeks ago really is what we're talking about here. And the reason that my room is in this sort of disarray and I'm not in front of my usual set, my usual background, and that is because I have my girlfriend over from Canada. She's staying with me, so we've rearranged my room to facilitate more people basically, and we went travelling quite a bit around the UK and to Europe as well in the week she arrived. So I took a week off work, which was not an easy thing to do when you're a lecturer, but I took a week off work, did all the planning preparation, got all that sorted, very busy week before I went away, and then when she arrived, I had the week off so we could go and do things. And because she's here for 3 weeks but I only had a week off work, we tried to cram in as much as we could in that first week. So we went to Oxford and we had a look around Oxford. Oxford is such a wonderful city. I love Oxford as a city. So I really kind of wanted to take her there, and it was just kind of, we had a day where I hadn't planned anything. So that was the Monday after she arrived. She arrived on the Sunday, and on that Monday I just wanted to do something, and I wanted to share something that I enjoy about the UK with her. And Oxford is such a wonderful city. I really enjoy Oxford, and I knew we'd be going to London and doing all the other London-y things later down the line. So I took her to Oxford and we went around Oxford. We had a look around Oxford, and yeah, it was just a really nice day out in Oxford. And so that was the first day. Next day we went into London. That's the Tuesday. We went into London, did some London-y things. I took her around my kind of favourite haunts in London. Went to the board game shop, the Orcs Nest, which I really enjoy. We looked at a few other places. We looked in Forbidden Planet. We picked up some bits and pieces, and then we went to a concert in the evening. So we had already booked to do this. This was one of the reasons she was coming earlier than we had initially planned, because we wanted to go to the James Horner concert and see a show at the Royal Albert Hall of James Horner music. James Horner, for those who don't know, does soundtrack music from a bunch of different films, including things like Titanic, which is probably the most famous soundtrack that he's done. And it was a fantastic concert. Royal Albert Hall is such a wonderful concert hall to go to and just experience music in. So again, that was a lovely thing to do. That night we stayed in London. Then the following day we went to Paris. So we took the Eurostar from London to Paris, and then spent 3 days in Paris, where we went up the Eiffel Tower and took loads of wonderful photos. We went to the Arc de Triomphe. We went to all of these different places, gorged on wonderful foods throughout. Came back on the Friday, had Friday afternoon kind of to ourselves a little bit. I say that, but we actually went to the cinema and saw Thor that evening when we got back. So we got back, saw Thor. The following day, we went to see Stonehenge, which I had not seen before, and I have to say, I really enjoyed. I was very surprised at how much I enjoyed it, and how much time we were able to spend there without it getting kind of dull and uninteresting. It was a bit chilly, but that's to be expected in the UK in October. So we actually had fantastic weather for October, like absolutely brilliant. Really lucky how clear it was when we were up the Eiffel Tower, and all of our views were really great, and we got quite a bit of sun, and some days we just wandered around on a t-shirt in October. Is kind of mad. And then from Stonehenge we went up to Avebury, which is kind of a similar thing. There's a big stone circle in Avebury, so if you're ever visiting the UK, anyone who's not from the UK, and you want to go and see Stonehenge, about 20 minutes drive from there, I think it's 20 minutes, yeah, about 25 minutes, half an hour's drive from there, is a little village called Avebury. And Avebury has another stone circle, but the stone circle there is not quite as impressive as Stonehenge, but you can actually walk around it. You can walk right up to the stones. You go through fields, just fields full of sheep, and we wandered through these fields of sheep with all these stones in them, and just had a wander around through all of this very kind of ancient feeling town. It was very surreal. Then we went to this wonderful pub, and I keep banging on about this pub. Red Lion, classic British pub name. Went in and got some pub grub, and I was the game pie at the pub grub place was amazing. Game pie is rabbits and pheasant and those kind of things, you know, game birds and game animals. Beautiful pie. That night we stayed in Swindon, which was not a good decision. That was the part of it that I would not do again. I would pick probably just to stay in Avebury or somewhere a little more local, smaller, quieter place. Then we went to Cardiff, and we went to Cardiff because a relative of hers used to live in Cardiff for a brief period, so she wanted to see that where they had been. So we went to Cardiff, and again I was really surprised at how nice Cardiff was. So we went to Cardiff Castle. Brilliant Cardiff Castle. We spent basically the whole day in Cardiff Castle, which is in Wales, just for those of you who don't know. So everything was in Welsh as well, which is always a bit of fun. And then I drove back that night, the 3.5 hours drive, or whatever it was, 3-hour drive, back that evening, got home, and then went to work the following day. So that was busy, and so we went on all these travels and had this adventure and that sort of thing. Then this weekend just gone, we also went into London and did some more London-y things as well, and we're hoping to go up the Shard next week as well for my birthday, because it's my birthday next week. That's part one of this video, which is already probably way too long. Let's have a quick skim. 6 minutes, not the worst. Okay, we can do 6 minutes. So as I already mentioned in there, whilst in the middle of that stuff, we went and met up with some of my friends and went to the cinema to see Thor Ragnarok, and we managed to have time to do that after we got back from Paris that Friday. And I wanted to talk just a little bit about Thor Ragnarok, because that's the kind of thing I want to talk about here without having a review show, without having a review like episode or whatever. I do all my reviews on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter at @James_Wisdom, and you can see all of my my weekly film tweets, I call them. Every week I will review a film. This last few weeks has been a bit on and off in terms of scheduling because of all that busyness I've had, but I am still doing it, and I have seen one film a week for this entire year so far. But I saw Thor Ragnarok, and I was really excited for Thor Ragnarok. I thought it looked brilliant. I thought the trailer was excellent. One of the most excited I have been for a Marvel film. I think that it's probably one of the most exciting trailers I have seen for a Marvel film, because I mean I'm going to see them, is basically my thought at this point with the Marvel things. I've committed this far in, I've seen all of them so far, I'm probably going to see all of them continuing, so the trailer didn't need to wow me, but it did anyway. And I really got excited about this Thor trailer. I loved the look of the film. I thought the film really worked very well in terms of visual style, and it was hilarious, but therein lies the rub, as they say, where the film was so funny it was a straight comedy. It's not an action sci-fi mythical cross thingy. Whilst there are sci-fi elements in there and there are action elements in there, it is predominantly a comedy film. This is really, if you're kind to it, an action comedy, but I would say like it heavily leans on the comedy stuff. And whilst I really enjoyed it, and I think it is an excellent film, it wasn't quite what I signed up for. I wanted something epic and grandiose, which you get in the world of this kind of, mythology, the Norse mythology of Thor and all the gods and all of that stuff, mixed in with this big sci-fi universe thing. So if you've seen the trailer, that you get the idea of what I'm talking about there. And the inclusion of all these crossover characters and things like that, and that kind of thing. And I really enjoyed all of that about it. I thought it looked stunning. I thought the jokes were absolutely on point, impeccably well done, but everything was a joke. Like, there were very few scenes or moments or developments that didn't end with a punchline. And I think this is something I'd seen a video on previously, on a film theory channel. I don't think it was actually film theorists, so I don't want to say film theorists without knowing, so I'll double check that and put it in the description where I saw this thing. But it's got similar issues to what Marvel films have started to gain. Since Guardians of the Galaxy was such a massive hit, and Guardians of the Galaxy, don't get me wrong, is a brilliant film, but the thing that people take away from Guardians of the Galaxy is how funny and entertaining and that kind of thing it was. And they've started to do that with all of the Marvel films. So every time there is a moment of seriousness or tension or emotional depth, they shove a punchline on the end so that the audience doesn't have to feel any kind of emotion towards it, or doesn't get too caught up in the drama, and is able to kind of just digest it as some form of entertainment. And to me, that's absolutely to the detriment of the film, particularly where Thor Ragnarok is concerned, because Thor Ragnarok is about some very big topics and some fairly disastrous consequences when you actually think about it. But even, when they get to the end of the film and you've got the big, obligatory fight sequence, they undermine a lot of what would be really epic or really like dynamic or tense moments of like who's going to win this fight with a punchline, with a joke, with someone just saying something silly or something dumb over the top of it. So there's no somber moments. There's no moments of just slowing the pace down and letting us, take in what's going on in this world and letting us engage with the world. It's all very surface level because of all of these punchlines that keep getting thrown out. And it's become what I think they referred to in this video as the Marvel problem, and it's something I call the Marvel problem. But they did it in Doctor Strange, where you have moments like when one of the characters dies. There's a moment where, you've got Stephen Strange like dealing with that moment, being sad, being upset, and then a comedy moment comes in. I won't ruin the joke if you haven't seen it, but a comedy moment comes in right at the end of that, and it kind of undermines all of that emotion and suspense building previous to it. And that is what happens in every sequence with Thor. The jokes are brilliant, everything is really fun and exciting and great, but it overly leans on the comedy. That was probably my summation review, is just that it spends too much time on comedy and not enough time on actually giving the audience the benefit of the doubt and saying, yeah, the audience can swap back and forth between emotional content and funny content. Even the silliest sitcoms do this, where they have moments of tension, or emotional tension, that aren't broken by a joke. They're just an emotional moment that then, next scene we can have some comedy and we can get back into the comedy again. And that's fine. And I think that by not doing that and by not letting that happen in the Marvel films, they are underappreciating their audience. I think their audience is cleverer than that, and it is more capable at watching films. If that might seem like a silly thing to say, but as an audience we are capable of watching films that have moments of sadness and moments of suspense and moments of tension that don't need to be broken by the comedy. Now that's not to say that the film was awful, because it is one of the best Marvel films. Absolutely one of the best Marvel films. Easily the best Thor film. World building is brilliant. It looks amazing. Valkyrie, for me, absolutely steals the show. But another thing about Valkyrie is that she does actually have some emotional moments that aren't entirely broken by comedy, because they are delivered, these moments with Valkyrie, through subtext really more than anything else. So there is a subtext of her dealing with kind of a PTSD almost, and that actually shows in the character when you put it all together and think about it all as a whole, without having one specific moment that is then like ruined by a comedy moment or anything like that. Or say ruined, is undermined by a comedy moment. But I think Valkyrie, absolutely for me, best new character in the Marvel universe since, I don't know when, since before Avengers Age of Ultron, I would say. Best new character since before then. But that's it. So it's absolutely worth checking out. If you haven't checked that film out, just go and watch it. Actually, same can be said for Blade Runner 2049. That is phenomenally good, that film. So there's a bunch of films that are worth checking out. If you want to see my proper reviews of those, they are tweets. They are short, very, very short film tweet reviews, weekly film tweets. Check them out on Twitter. Next point, 16 minutes, so I'll do this quick. I decided on what phone I was going to get. You probably, if you watch my videos regularly, you will know that I have been thinking about what phone to get, and I was going to go for a Pixel XL2, the Google phone, the new one that just came out. But I decided against it in the end because turns out the screen is pretty shit. And I'd heard a bunch of things about, you know, it not being as bright or as vibrant as people want. And that is absolutely a by design decision, and I'm absolutely okay with that decision. They have gone with a different type of screen on that phone, which shows truer colours, so the colours are true to life. The problem is so many phones are reporting faults with screen burn-in after a very short period of time, with the always on navigation at the bottom. Also showing like red shift, so some phones would be overly red, some would be overly blue. There was not a consistent colour to the screen itself, and it seemed like there aren't very good viewing angles on it, all sorts of stuff like that. So I thought, well, okay, I'm not going to go for that. I cancelled my pre-order on that phone and thought, well, maybe I will go for the Pixel 2. Problem with the Pixel 2 is the screen is much smaller. Well, not much smaller. The screen is smaller and it looks like a much more old-fashioned phone. And I thought, well, if I'm going for something premium, I should go for something that feels new and feels exciting. So I was tossing up between the Pixel 2 and the Galaxy S8. Samsung Galaxy S8. And that's what I ended up going for, the Samsung Galaxy S8, which I've got here. So far, beautiful phone. The slidiest thing I've ever seen, though, you put it down on the surface and it just kind of walks off it. I put it down to charge one night, put it on the side, and it sort of fell off after a minute or two. And then I sort of put it back on the side, wedged it between two items. A few minutes later, it fell off again, and I have no idea how it managed to do it. So, very slidey. Has got wireless charging, has got headphone jack, is USB-C, so it does all the things I want it to do. It's even got a micro SD card slot in the top here, which is not something you see all that often now. Fully waterproof and dustproof and all of that stuff. So it's really nice, and it's got this beautifully big screen with almost no bezel. So I've gone for that. It's great. And yeah, that is what I have decided to go for. So I just wanted to kind of update you on that. I will let you know if I have any problems with it. I've only had it just under a week. I got it last Wednesday. I'm recording on a Monday, so I've had it 5 days. So far, so good. Not had a proper chance to play with it. As I say, I've had a guest, so I've not played with it all that much to try it out. But otherwise, good phone. I'm enjoying it. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a bit of a long one, a bit of a rambly one. That's okay, I suppose. I hope you enjoyed Thor Ragnarok. If you did, and you disagree with me entirely, please let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, thanks very much for watching. I've been ThatJaymsWisdom. Keep smiling. Thank you very kindly. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, all of that stuff. And if you do want to check out my actual weekly film tweets that I do every week, as I say, go to Twitter. You can search #weeklyfilmtweet and they'll pop up, or go to @James_Wisdom, which is on the screen now.